This video is going to demonstrate how to create Revolve number 3 of problem set number 2, which, as you can see in the pictures on the screen here, is a 3-way pipe flange. Now we have several drawings of different sketching aspects. We have a circular pattern, some extrude cuts, another circular pattern of the 3D feature, and kind of a final fillet. Now, if we read the directions here, what we're instructed to do is create the pipe flange assembly by creating one flange and then using the circular pattern tool to copy it, which is pretty much what's shown over here. We are also to create chamfers on the Revolve sketch instead of coming back later to do so. So what does that mean? Let's see if we can find a better example. So here in this sketch, there is a chamfer on this face that we're going to integrate into the sketch instead of doing it later. And there's also chamfers on the corners of the flange as well. When we zoom in later, you'll probably be able to see that. What else? Any other features we need to be aware of? Using the fillet tool is the last step, which is shown here. You can see highlighted in blue where the different fillets are, where the 3 pipes meet, and then where the pipes meet the flanges are places that we're going to do the fillet. Lastly, the material is going to be cast iron, and our target volume is 455.5 cubic inches. So we know we're working in inches, and this is going to be our goal. And if we get all the dimensions right, we should be spot on with this, but as long as you're within 5%, that is all the designer is asking you to do. So I'm going to zoom in here on the dock so we can get a better look at some of the detail in these sketches. All right, so we have 2 nearly identical sketches here. This one on the left has only the dimensions and the sketching aspects, and the other one has the dimensions as well as several constraints that we need to be aware of. So I'm going to go ahead and start sketching this. Okay, so our origin is right in the middle, and we have the 3 different legs emanating from that, and we have 120 degrees between each leg, and each leg is 12 inches long. Let's see, we have 2 that are construction and 1 that is solid, so I'm just going to repeat that. Okay. And I'm just going to get them in there rough. I'm not going to worry about the length of them yet or the dimensions. That is very easy to assign afterwards. Okay, we know that that leg is going to be construction, so is this one. And we're going to assign length to this one, which is going to be 12 inches. And we're going to use equals because these 2 are the same 12 inches. So we're going to apply those 2 constraints. Zoom out a little bit. And here's our starting point. The next thing that I think we should do is to assign 120 degrees between the legs or those different lines. So let's grab our dimension tool, click the 2 lines that we want to give an angle between, and enter the number that we're looking for. 120 on both of those. Now you could try to put 120 here, but the computer is going to say you can't do that. What this is telling you is basically that it already knows it is 120 right now, because the computer knows that if you take 360, a complete circle, and divide it evenly into 3 ways, that it's 120. So that's why it won't let you put it. It's already figured it out, essentially. All right, next we're going to look at creating the sketch for the pipe flange. Now, as this is a revolve, we essentially only have to sketch 1/2 of what the profile looks like. So that's why it kind of looks like this big L thing right here. And because we want it hollow, it's going to be essentially this outside portion, this little skinny L hockey stick looking thing, that is going to be the profile, and then this line is going to be the axis on which we're going to spin around. I can't recall, I think there was a close-up of it here, and that's correct. So this is that little L hockey stick thing that we are going to make right now. So Let's see, anything I need to be aware of here. Several dimensions, but I think I'm going to use the one on the top for now since I can see it all on one screen. Okay. So we're going to come this way, and that's going to be perpendicular. It's going to come over, also being perpendicular to the last. And I still have construction on, so let me turn that off. It's going to come down, it's going to come over straight across here to here, and then come back to the origin. Now I still have some lines that I made construction by accident, but I can just highlight both of those and click the construction. The construction tool is always just a toggle off and on, so I can always make something construction that wasn't, or vice versa. Next, there's a line that's going to go from here to here, and this one is actually going to be parallel to the existing line, so that's an easy one to do. And since I have that tool out, I could say those two have to be parallel also. And now I have a few dimensions I'm going to have to put in here. So let's go ahead and apply those dimensions. So we know this is going to be 6 inches between here and the wall thickness is 0.375 or 3/8 of an inch. What else do I know? I have a dimension here, 30 degrees between these two lines. Oh, and because I made these perpendicular, I already knew that. If I was dead set on creating exactly that same drawing, and I said, no, I really want to put that angle in, I could delete that perpendicular and then I can put in the 30 degrees. Essentially, they're doing the same thing. There's just different ways of doing it. Okay, I'm going to go down to where there's more detail now. And let's see what we're missing here. Okay, so I have 2 small triangles in the corner here, which I can just take this line and go point to point. Okay. And I can give a dimension to both of those. Where it said this was 45. I can do the same thing on the other side. And 45 degrees is what a chamfer normally is, 45 degrees. Let me get rid of that guy. It's just not letting me do 45 there. Okay, 45, 45. And then we also, very importantly, have a dimension here of 1 inch. Oh, looks like I thought these were connected, but they were not. So I can take the coincident tool and make sure it knows where it's supposed to be. I think I lost it. Where'd it go? All right, so I have to do it a different way. Let's see. Oh, there it goes. A little bit out of place. So what happened was this point did not know it's supposed to be on that line or something like that. Okay, well, I guess I should put in the other dimensions given. So there's also a 0.125 distance between this point and this line. So if you put that in, that should be all the information necessary to make that section fully constrained. As you can see, it goes black, telling me that's all the information I need. I do have one more larger chamfer in this section here, kind of the inside of the pipe. So I'm going to do the same thing. I have this dimension of 0.375 inches. And I also have this dimensional, or this angular dimension of 45 degrees. Okay, let's see what's left here. I need this 3.25. And after that, I'm fully constrained. So that's all the information I need at this point to go ahead and do my revolve. So I'm going to grab my revolve tool in the 3D menu. And we are only going to do this section that looks like the hockey stick. And you'll see why after we revolve it. We're going to do 360 degrees. And our axis is going to be here. And that is the preview of what our 1/3 of our flange is going to look like. So That looks good to me. Let's go ahead and do that. Now at this point, before I replicate this into 3, I am going to cut all those holes that we see on the flange here on this step. So what we're going to do is use the circular pattern tool. So I'm going to draw a sketch on this face, and I can see that this circle lines up with the axis. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a circle here, and I'm going to tell it that it has to stay above the origin. I'm also going to give it the diameter of 0.75 inches. And there's a dimension here that says from the very outer edge of the circle, so from this edge to the center point of the hole, it is 1 inch. But wait a minute, what's going on here? It's not letting me reference that edge. So if it's not letting you reference the edge, what you have to do is take a point and put a point there. Now that point will probably wander around because it's still on the circle. So I'm going to have to use the same vertical tool until it has to stay above the origin, or I could have used that center point as well. Now that I have that point there, I can use that point as a reference for that 1 inch dimension. And now since that's fully constrained, now is a good time to go ahead and use the circular pattern tool. It asks for geometry, which is the circle that I want to repeat, and then it asks for the axis, which is going to be this, and then how many times I want to repeat it, which is 12. And you can see the preview, hit OK, and there's your holes. Now I can just use the extrude tool and select those holes. Soon to be holes. They're not holes quite yet, are they? Right now we're just selecting circles. Nope. I selected one too many. Let me unselect this. Not. Alright, we gotta start over. This time I'm just gonna hit the cut button to start with. And you can see I have a different preview of the cut. Pick the disc again, gosh darn it. Alright, since I keep having trouble with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that outer edge that's making it enclosed, go back to sketch and unenclose it. Now it won't let me pick that whole disc when I go to the extrude tool. Arguably a little bit easier because I can't click the wrong thing now. But since I didn't erase that circle, it doesn't destroy my geometry or other references. Alright, now we'll go to cut. You can see the preview is cutting 1 inch deep. If that's enough, that's great. If not, maybe we need to cut deeper or just tell it to go through all. Now we have the holes on the flange. Now at this point, it seems like we're nearly ready to do the circular pattern. And we're going to use the same circular pattern tool, but this one is going to be in the 3D menu. We select our feature, select our rotation. You're going to use probably the Z origin axis, I'm guessing. I'm going to put 3 of them, and now we have them all joined. So at this point, all I'd have to do is go to Tools, select the iron, but there's one more step which I want you to do. And I would like you guys to figure this one out by yourself. It's a good little problem to solve. So for this extrusion step, what we have to do is cut these pipes so that they can fit together. And the reason there's a problem now is we have all this extra material inside the pipe because we essentially made them straight. So we want to cut these pieces away so that it flows. If this were real pipe, the flow would be greatly inhibited by all these. So I want you to figure out how to cut these so that this isn't the case. What you can do is you can roll this last step back. And essentially what we want to do is do some type of a miter cut on these, an angled cut, so that it looks like this, and we have a perfect joint when it's all said and done. So it doesn't look any different than it did with the pattern. Because at this point, you can easily put the fillet tool on these different joints as if it were welded together like what generally happens in real life. All right, that is object number 3. Hope you enjoyed it.